Soundings presents an unabridged recording of Death of Mr. Dodsley, written by John Ferguson with an introduction by Martin Edwards and read by David Thorpe. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Soundings. Introduction. Death of Mr. Dodsley, first published in 1937, is a bibliomystery from a Scot who combined ministry in the Episcopalian Church with a varied and successful literary career. John Ferguson was in his heyday described as one of the most delightful stylists in the genre, yet he has largely been forgotten during the 70 years since his death. This story centres around the murder of a bookseller in London's Charing Cross Road, long regarded as a home from home for bibliophiles. Richard Dodsley's corpse is found lying on a carpet in his shop by Constable Roberts in the early hours of the morning. For clues, the Scotland Yard detectives, Inspector Mallet and Sergeant Crabbe, do not have much to work on, although they find 3 cigarette ends and a woman's broken hair slide at the scene of the crime, and notice that several books are out of position on the shelves. Further, they discover a note indicating that a couple of months before his death, Dodsley consulted a private detective, Francis MacNab. During the golden age of murder, between the 2 world wars, both Father Ronald Knox and Canon Victor Whitechurch achieved a considerable reputation in the field of literary detection. John Alexander Ferguson, 1871 to 1952, is rather less well known. Perhaps partly because his series detective was, for all his amiability, a relatively low-key character who is not quite as memorable as many of his peers in vintage crime fiction. Not much has been written about Ferguson over the years, so I shall take this opportunity to sketch an outline of his life and work. Ferguson was born in Callander in Perthshire and worked as a clerk on the local railway before becoming ordained as an Episcopalian minister. His ministry took him to places such as Dundee, Guernsey and Glasgow, and it was not until he was in his 40s that he began to carve a literary reputation. Shortly before the First World War, he achieved success as a playwright, thanks to his widely admired one-act play, Campbell of Kilmore, set in the aftermath of the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745. Professor Alan Rear.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?